Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another Married to Medicine review. This ain't the playground. Eugene was the comedic relief that I didn't even know that I needed. His expressions said it all. I think that sweetie, you're being very blind to this situation, girl. The fact that you were sitting there recording your man as he did this song, dissing his ex-wife and talking about how he needs to be free and all this other stuff, and he got his new wife. It seems like y'all looking a little whack to me, and you're encouraging it by recording it. I would have told my husband, don't put that out there, boo. It's not gonna go over well. I couldn't help but think a lot while I was watching this episode. If I was in the Twilight Zone, was T loud? Yes. Is she argumentative at times? Yes. Was she the only one acting this way? No. I think a lot of them acted a fool, including Quad. And I like Quad, but Quad, she did a little bit much too. I understand why. I'm not negating it. Quad, in my opinion, if anybody had a reason to be really, really upset out of everybody, right? I've already explained in previous episodes why I feel that way. I just have one question though. Well, more than one. First one is, why is it that this cast thought that it would be a good idea to have Dr. G back on the show? My second question, that is a follow-up to that, is why did Dr. G join the show knowing that Quad was going to be here? Dr. G is loud. Dr. G is disrespectful. And in my opinion, he is lame for attempting to file a police report knowing that he himself has done things as well. I think that Dr. G needs to go away, all the way away. I hate to say it because I think that his wife deserves an opportunity to be on this show, but Dr. G is too insecure to be able to handle being on this show while Quad is happily in another relationship, because that's where the real issue lies with him. Now, Quad's is deeper. Quad is upset, as I said before, because she's been abused by this man and he's back on this show. A show that she feels like is hers. So I just feel like, Dr. G, you should leave. You got all that mouth and you're so overly combative when it comes to women, but you're a mouse when it comes to men. Then you expect for people to reach out to you and check on you like something actually happened to you, like you got, knocked in the head or something. Sir, please. My next issue. Why did these people allow this man to come back to the show? The same people who sought him out are now trying to turn the tide and to have him go away, or to ice T out the same way that they did Quad. Why is there a problem now? Why wasn't there a problem before? You welcomed the man back with open arms, knowing that he openly admitted on camera to abusing Quad, knowing that Quad admitted there were times that they put hands on each other. So miss me with the crap. Miss me with trying to act like, doctors don't do this and doctors don't do that. Do doctors not protect their own? And I'm not talking about their own by their titles and their credentials. I'm talking about the fact that that this woman was being treated unfairly, inappropriately by her husband, and you're welcoming him back. This review probably won't be like a normal review. I'm doing a little bit more ranting here, but it just called for that. Go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button as we jump into it. So Toya is walking around her home looking like the beautiful housewife that she is. Toya is gorgeous. Toya looks good. My opinion. Tell me yours. So she's asking, Damon, like, have not Damon, Eugene, have you reached out? I don't know why I wrote Damon in my notes. Have you reached out to, the other guys? And Toya, I want to know why. I don't see why he would need to reach out to them to check on them. If you're just reaching out to them to reach out to them, so be it. But nothing, in my opinion, that major happened where you would need to check on anybody. But okay. So Eugene's like, no, I didn't reach out to them yet. Guys kind of don't do it like that. We kind of give each other time to cool off. And that's what I was doing. So Toya's like, look, I kind of wanted you to reach out because we got our wedding coming up. It's our 16th anniversary, and I want everyone to be there to celebrate. I'm thinking we could do a Bridgerton themed party, and all are invited. Shameless plug. If you don't know, I have reviewed all of the seasons of Bridgerton including Queen Charlotte. I impersonate Lady Whistledown. That's about the only thing I can do. And we have a good time while talking about it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It helps. Because not everybody has Netflix, and it was a really, really good series. Anyways, so Toya says that the plan is to invite all of the couples to the dance studio and then let them know there that they are invited to this celebration. I like it. I think it's cute. The idea of dance lessons as couples sounds fun to me, and I enjoyed that scene when we got to it. So Eugene points out that, when it comes to Quad and Gregory, that there's always been problems. Like even in their marriage, they tended to push each other's buttons, and that he's happy that they're no longer together. Production then shows us clips of them not getting along. If you were going to show clips, show the clips where they both admitted to laying hands on one another. Show the clip where Quad talks about how, I believe she said that he held a knife to her or something I don't remember. Okay, that's alleged. I don't remember if it was a knife or if he choked her or something. He assaulted her in some manner, and he did admit to it. Right? So for me, it stopped the nonsense. It was unhealthy on both sides, but y'all knew it was unhealthy and you still brought this man back. Toya and Quad, despite all that they've done to each other, are in a good place. So Toya's like, I want to be able to invite her and King, especially since Eugene, you said that you like King, and I'm just not going to leave them out. So over at Heavenly's, Quad comes over to meet up over there. Quad says that, as far as what happened in Key West, it was a little too dark, and she's just not putting her man in compromising positions anymore. Quad, I'm on your side, but if you truly feel that way, boo, you're going to have to learn how to bite your tongue. Disengage and don't talk to that man. Dr. Little can't handle you talking to him. Whenever he gets a chance, he's going to go low because you have moved on for him to see now. You have an actual man, and it's bothering him because he was okay with having a cordial conversation with you last season, but now he can't. So disengage. Don't say anything. If you want to talk about the things that he's done, talk about it in therapy or talk about it with your man, but don't talk about it with him. Because you're making him think, and you're making others think, like his wife, that you still want him. And I don't think it's that. I think that there's a lot of hurt there, mainly because a lot of people seem to put your feelings to the side and act like you weren't in this situation. I've been out of my situation for years. When I say years, well over a decade, and certain things trigger me. Especially when it comes to that person who was abusive towards me. So I can understand where Quad is coming from, which is why I say they should have never invited him back to the show, because you aren't protecting the person that at one point was supposed to be your friend. So Heavenly, the same lady that brought them back to the show in the first place, that made it her business to start hanging out with T, says, maybe they need some time away because it's clear the four of you can't be in the same place. So I guess it wasn't clear when it was 3, but now that it's 4, because Quad has a man, now it's clear. Quad says that I want to do a girls' night at my house. Heavenly is reluctant about it. Quad says, no, it's not going to be that. It's going to be kind of a check-in, time to decompress. Everyone is invited but Phaedra and T. I don't blame her. That is her home, but this is yet another way of icing people out. Phaedra, however, did quickly jump the bandwagon last season and kind of not support Quad. So I ain't mad at her for not inviting Phaedra, but I got to call a spade, which is T isn't invited. It's your home, even though the girls, I don't know if they were allowed to come in your home because you had them out in the backyard, but it's a big step because a lot of them haven't been to your home before. So we're just going to say that it makes sense for her to not have them there. So everybody is arriving at the studio. Everyone's there with the exception of Dr. Mimi because she had to work, Quad, King, T, and Dr. Little. So Eugene says, all Black events have line dances. For this one, their line dance is going to be the waltz. So Toya asks about Quad, and Dr. Heavenly reveals that she's not coming without King. Toya feels like they need to grow up because they could have each picked a corner. I get it, but I don't. And I say that because even though I do not like Dr. Little, I do feel like if he felt like he was threatened, because we saw him scooching back, he was afraid. If he felt like he was threatened by King, if King took off his clothing and looked like he was about to lay hands on him, I can see why a little mouse like him would be intimidated or nervous or scared or reluctant or hesitant to be in the same space as him, just because King may want to hit him. I'm just saying, like, the disrespect is still there either way that they try to flip it. So I can see why there may be issues with them being in the same room, even though at the same time, I myself have been in spaces before with people that I may have had, arguments or issues or, altercations with. And after some time, we've been able to be in the same space, but just completely avoid one another. With that being said, let's not act like you don't understand that, Dr. G is scared. So the ladies then start, as Toya is passing out, the stuff and saying that for their anniversary party, she wanted to do something cute. And she hands out her Georgia 10 Chronicles, and it has a little Bridgerton thing on it and everything. It's really cute. And the ladies are in confessional shading her about how they know she didn't do it, and she got AI to type it up because she doesn't have the words for it. That's who said that? Simone. And then you got Heavenly talking about how Toya loves to spend some money. She just loves to spend some money. But either way, it's cute. So Toya says, I want you all there. That's what my hope is that everybody comes. That's when Contessa reveals that Dr. Little might have a restraining order in place, so she doesn't know how that's going to work. The look on everyone's faces, especially the guys, had me weak. Steve's face, he was like, according to Dr. Contessa, Dr. Simone said that's an itch move. According to Dr. Contessa, despite Dr. Little not being touched, he is claiming attempted assault. Dr. Little feels like he was just minding his own business when King attacked him and was going to beat him up. I don't know if it's editing. I do know that it did seem out of nowhere where King approached him for a conversation. And I think that the approach from the conversation went to y'all talking junk to each other back and forth, and it escalated to something else. I wish King never approached him then. I wish he did it before. Anyways, so Dr. Damon is like, look, when it comes to this situation, I'm taking King's side. It did not look like what Dr. G is trying to say. And at the end of the day, if you disrespect somebody's partner or somebody's wife, they're going to want to defend them. And that's all that I think King did. King felt like he needed to defend his partner. Eugene starts doing the same crap that he did the last episode, where he's feeling bad, for G, saying, well, we don't know what G's side of things are. Yes, we do. They may have edited some things, but G was poking him way before that. G was trying to sun him a little bit before that, when he kind of walked up on him and said the things that he said and made the little slick comments that he makes. See, he says slick things thinking that, I could get in your brain and I could poke the bear, and then you're going to react. And then I'm going to say, oh, my license. I'm not trying to do that. I'm too grown. I'm not trying to act like that. When really you've done things before that doesn't seem like you were really worried about your license. So Eugene starts, I said that. Heavenly wants to know what Eugene would have done had the roles were reversed. She's real loud with doing it. Heavenly, sometimes you need to be like me, because I get excited when I start talking. You need to calm it down a little bit, because it's a bit much. Contessa chimes in about the hypocrisy of it all, because Heavenly is talking about what the other, husband should do and how it's wrong for you to talk about somebody else's person. Meanwhile, Heavenly has not had a problem talking about the other husbands. She is right. Heavenly does need to be quiet, because Heavenly has said things about other people's husbands. But Contessa, boo, I got to call you out too, because the same time she says something about your husband, she said way worse about others. She gave it to you easy, which was that your husband at the time was being verbally abusive. Now he's doing something different this season. It is what it is. I don't really care. I still am a side-eyeing Scott, but She called that thing out, and you decided to go even further than that when you had your little knock down drag out thing where y'all were at the rodeo, and you were so aggressive that you pushed down Jackie. So let's not act like you didn't say things and do things as well. It might have took you a little bit longer, but all of you are guilty of talking about each other husbands. We've seen Quad do it when it came to Toya. We saw Toya. Like, this is what y'all do. I don't agree with it. It's wrong. If you were my friend, that wouldn't be a thing that would be going on. If you had something to say about my husband, you would be saying it to my face. You wouldn't be saying it on camera. Just saying. But don't call out Heavenly and not call yourself out too. That's all I'm saying. So the plan is that Scott and Eugene are going to talk to Dr. Little in hopes of being able to get him and King to agree to talk in the same room. Kind of like they want to be mediators for the two of them. As soon as he said it, I said, that's not going to work because I don't see Dr. G being able to do that. So we then see them learn some basic steps of the waltz. It's cute. They bow and they curtsy and there's smiles and there's laughter and there's joking. And overall, everybody said that they had a good time. So we get to lunch with T. T is standing by her man. And while she's standing by her man, I see her turning into a shell of herself. Her this episode versus last episode is disappointing to me. I feel like she's not being as vocal because he probably had a talk with her prior to this and she's doing and saying what it is that he would want her to do. So Toya and Dr. Mimi meet T for food and drinks. T tells us that she's thankful that Toya reached out to her because the trip was a lot and it took time for her to process it. Toya gives her the invite to the party and lets her know that everybody is welcome. So it's a possibility that everybody will be there. She says she doesn't want to choose between, the two. T thinks, it's hard for some. It's because some people are hurt and can't move on from their past divorces. And ma'am, that includes your husband. This is the part about T that bothers me because she has allowed Dr. G to make her feel like this is all on Quad, that Quad is the only person that hasn't moved on when Dr. G kind of hasn't moved on either. They're at different stages of it, but they're both struggling to move on. The difference is with King was able to see, look, there's still hurt there. It's still triggering to her. We're trying to work through it and be better. While T can't see that her husband is still angry and he needs to work on it and be better. Instead, she's going to make it seem like Quad is the only person that has an issue, like her husband doesn't. So Toya wants to know if, given what she said, if Greg filed a report just because that was him, processing his anger, and she wants to know what the officer said. And T said, that's my business. I said, oh. Mimi's face even said, oh. I personally feel like she said it's because it's her business because there wasn't enough proof that he actually did something. I think that the officer probably was like, I don't know if these are grounds for whatever, and it wasn't something that they may have wanted to hear. But I also feel like it could have been that her husband told her don't talk about it. So T's like, G feels like, King had malicious intent. Like the fact that he took off his shirt and was charging at him, it was malicious. T, you were charging at King too. Was that malicious? And it's definitely not the same situation, but I'm just saying, like, it's semantics at this point. It didn't happen. People were there. If anybody should feel a way, it should be Chet, because Chet kind of got pushed a little bit by King when he was trying to get the G. Toya wants to know, like, where's the grace? And Mimi repeats it because T has also had her moments. She's like, you've been out of control. And she's like, with my mouth. And she's like, no. It hasn't just been your mouth. What did y'all cut out? Now, I know we've seen instances because she squared up on Heavenly a couple of times. I know we've seen instances where she seemed like she was being like physically domineering. Mimi adds, I had to grab you. We were grabbing you. And when I looked into your eyes, I didn't see my friend. Mimi I appreciate you being honest, but you kind of teetering a little bit here, especially since you and the lady came here together. Like, you didn't have this conversation with her off camera? Just wondering. So the ladies are trying to figure out what he wants, because Toya's like, I can't fight for this, relationship, this friendship, if you're not, going to fight for it too. Like, do you want to be a part of this friend group? And T's like, she's like, okay, are you willing to have a discussion with Quad? Are you willing to sit down with Quad and have boundaries? And she's like, it's on Greg. It's on Greg. Basically, she not sitting with Quad unless Greg tells her that she can. So, they're trying to figure, like, at what point do you hold your husband accountable or be his helpmate or whatever? G is not the person you could do that with, Toya. You've seen it yourself. You were in the car when they played the clip of how he was talking to Quad. Like, that's never been him. He's a little man that throws tantrums. And ain't nothing against short men. I'm just saying. So she said that she's tried to talk to him, but he doesn't want to talk about it. She sounded a little defeated with it. Bottom line is, she's doing whatever her husband wants to do, which resolves nothing. So we go to Scott's house. Dr. Eugene and Scott meet up with Dr. Little at Scott's house, right? He was wondering, as he sits down in the man cave, when he was going to hear from someone, because no one reached out to him. For what? Did you get injured while you were running away? Did you get sandburned? Like, what are they reaching out to you for? There's a rumor, Eugene says, that you called a popo. No. He didn't say it that way. I'm adding here. And Dr. G says, why wouldn't I? He charged at me. It's simple battery. He can get 90 days, a fine or probation. Oh, you really looked this thing up. You really wanted to cause trouble for this man. That's what you wanted to do. And I'm not saying it's not on King, because it's on King, because King, you decided to charge at the man. You could have checked him with your words, because he was shaking in his boots from your words alone. But you decided to charge at this man, so we got to call a thing a thing. But to me, it wasn't that serious for him to do that. But he said, things that have happened to me are serious. Production. This is when you roll the tape of the things that he's done, of the things that he said. I don't like G. I don't. I'm probably going to call him Dr. Little for the rest of the time, or G, because I don't respect his title. I don't. And it sounds messed up because he worked for it or whatever else. But because of the type of man that he is, because of the abuser that he is, in my opinion, and you can disagree with me in the comments, that's fine. I feel like he doesn't deserve my respect. You keep on disrespecting people, and then after you disrespect people and then they react to it, then you want to sit there and you want to go and cause other things going on. Was King wrong? Yes, but he didn't touch you, which is what Eugene said. He's like, did he touch you? And Dr. Little is trying to say something. He's like, no, did he touch you? So the answer is no. So Eugene is like, well, with me, I'm not a cop caller, nor is Scott. They both say they wouldn't have handled it that way. Dr. Little is still acting like he did nothing wrong. He's asked what he wants. Like, what do you want to come of this? What do you want Quad to apologize? Like, what are you looking for here, right? Because he felt so disrespected and he felt like his wife was being disrespected. But I'm missing the point where his wife was being disrespected by Quad. I know Quad says some slick stuff after T says some slick stuff, but Heavenly said way more slick stuff when they were out there than Quad did. If I missed it, y'all tell me. So he's asked what he wants. And this fool pulls out a computer and a speaker where there is a recording that his wife did of him doing this song. And he says, I was in an emotional space and this was my way of processing. It's a statement piece about being free from the BS and standing for justice and his new wife. And he's going and singing and making it. And the guys are like, I don't know how they kept a straight face, because the way I would have given him the most obnoxious laugh ever in life, that you actually brought that with you, pulled it up on the computer to show it. Like, what, did you want people to click on the link on YouTube to see it? Eugene's like, oh, okay, sexual chocolate. Eugene tells Toya and us, don't ever hurt my feelings to the point where I have to write a song about it. And I agree. And don't ever be dumb enough to sit there and record it as my wife, that I'm singing this song about the hurt that I'm feeling from my ex-wife, and then have you sitting there acting like I don't have a problem with my ex-wife and like she's not still, causing some anger up in me. So at Quad's house, all the ladies are there for girls' night. The first rule is to take a cocktail for entry and no talking about the past, despite how much she's done it in the past, Simone says. The energy is good. Simone says that she loves this new Quad, right? They talk about that they're going to only go up and forward, or no, only go upward. So we see them, dance a little bit, they eat. Then the subject of Toya's party comes up, and Quad explains that they would love to come and show their support, but because of what's happened, she may not be present. She tells us that her ex-husband has filed charges, so they aren't present. My guess is the charges have been dropped, but at some point they were filed. I don't know if they were dropped because of Greg or if they were dropped because they said you don't have a case. I don't blame, as I said, either couple for not wanting to be around one another. But Dr. Little, you were okay with being around Quad when she was single. And I'm going to keep saying it because you were. So Toya hopes that, she reconsiders, especially with all that they've been through. Simone's like, everyone needs to own their part. She said, I look at King, and what I noticed about King is that the next day that King apologized, right? And she's like, Quad, we need you there. Toya says for her, the conversation with T and Mimi changed things in her mind. As Contessa points out, T brought Mimi to the group. But Mimi says that there was some lack of accountability on T's side, and she could not say that she was willing to be open to moving on. She didn't really give us an answer. So Contessa's like, I'm team T and G, but they're making this so much bigger than it was. All Toya says she heard was excuses after excuses, basically about how they can't control themselves. I don't know how I feel about that comment, Toya, about them not being able to control themselves. But I do think that, there were some excuses made and there was some lack of accountability and ownership. Like, you keep acting like your husband didn't do anything wrong when you weren't there for the whole thing. But as usual, she's going to go with whatever he says because he didn't tell you how he told King that he told Quad to shut the F up or whatever else. Or she talks too effing much or whatever it was that he said. So she's like, I don't like being, made to feel like I got to choose. But if I'm going to choose, I'm going to choose you. I'm going to choose you, Quad. And Quad is standing there. And I could tell that Quad is getting choked up. So Toya says we've been through so much and we're finally on a good page. And I just want us to stay on that page. And, Quad and them are trying to make it right, but Greg and Tisha aren't. And I agree. They aren't owning anything. They aren't. Not that T has to own as much, but your husband needs to own something. So as I saw Quad going, and she's like, don't make me cry. I think that for the first time in a long time that Quad kind of felt vindicated and that this was genuine. Because as I said in the beginning, these people who she's known for 11 years were not supportive of her in this. The fact that they were willing to have her around this man that assaulted her, when, as Jackie said, if Curtis cheated on me, I wouldn't want him on this show. This man not only cheated on her, but he assaulted her, and y'all were okay with bringing him back. So I think for the first time she felt like, okay, they're finally getting where my apprehension and where my hurt and pain and all that other stuff is from. So Quad says, thank you. She loves them. They finally put themselves in my shoes, and they do a group hug telling each other that they love each other. So on to this last part. Jackie and Curtis, visit Phaedra. I was like, why is Curtis there? But Jackie basically explains that after that, they're going to his nephew's thing. So she felt bad for not checking on Phaedra. And, excuse me, she didn't want to hurt her. So Phaedra says, no, she didn't want to hurt her. And she realizes that they hurt her. So Phaedra's like, yeah, it did hurt me. I don't know about y'all, but I don't buy it. They pissed you off, but I don't really feel like you were hurt by them. I don't. Maybe you were hurt by your ex-husband back in the day and that lady, but I don't think you were hurt by these ladies because Apollo came on when you knew he was coming on. So she's like, Jackie, I said what I said about, you, but it didn't have anything to do with you. She's acting like she didn't know that Apollo was coming. And Jackie again says, Heavenly told me that you knew that he was coming. But she doesn't address it, She's like, the girls are just mean. And she calls Heavenly shady and messy and the devil's daughter. And Jackie says to us that she's not owning anything. She's not owning her part. She knew Apollo was coming. And she knew that she knew Apollo knew Chet. So why are you acting like you didn't have anything to do with this? I don't think I don't think Phaedra owed Apollo anything. I've said it before. Think that she knew it was a possibility that man was going to come there with his wife. And she was like, oh, you want to play me? I got it. That's it. She didn't know the depths of their friendship or whatever. She tells us that she feels like she invested a lot into this group. And she's done. She tells Jackie that she does not feel like there will be any moving forward for her. And all I got to say is bye-bye, Faye. See you at Real Housewives of Atlanta because we're reviewing that. And at some part, you're going to pop up there. My final thoughts on this episode, Dr. Little isn't safe. I feel bad for T because it's going to take T because T looks like she's the type who's going, fight it out. It's going to take her probably like 5 to 6 years before she leaves this man. And I hope that he doesn't cause further damage than he's already done, because Quad is a perfect example of what happens when you stay in a situation where you are being abused. I think the problem is because a lot of times, even though Quad cries here and there, she puts on a brave face. And because Quad has bounced back the way that she has, that a lot of people dismiss what she went through with that man. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to repeat itself with T and G because they have not been married that long. And here we are. My other thought is at some point, one of them is going to have to leave the show. I don't know if they should. I feel like T should have never been brought up there with G. I feel like if T came, then T came. She could pull a Robin Dixon and not have that man really come out. But I don't know how that's going to work. You all tell me your thoughts down below. Do you guys think that they're being unfair to T? And if you do, you can put it down below. I do think to a certain extent that they are, but I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Thank you guys so much. Until next time.